Hello design cutters! Renee here with a tutorial sure to get you in the mood for springtime adventuring. We'll be combining stellar fonts with patterns, ornaments, photo effects, simple illustration, and watercolor styles using both Photoshop and Illustrator. Follow along by downloading the freebies at designcuts.com. Start by opening Illustrator and go to File New. Name your file, then enter a width of 18 inches and a height of 24 inches. Set your resolution to 300 ppi, and under Advanced, select a color mode of RGB, then click OK. Select your rectangle tool and draw a rectangle covering the entire background. Open your color palette and enter RGB values of 0, 167, 157 for the fill color. Make sure to choose None for your stroke color. Open your swatches palette and click the new swatch icon to add the new color. Name it Teal. Now select your ellipse tool and click once on the artboard. Enter a width and height of 24 inches, then click OK. In your color palette, enter RGB values of 243, 199, 39 for the fill color. At the top of the artboard, select the horizontal Align Center icon. Position the circle so that it falls mostly below the artboard. Now we'll add a brush stroke. Start by changing your stroke color to black. Then open your Brushes palette in the flyout menu, choose Open Brush Library, Artistic Brushes, and Artistic Ink. From here, choose Calligraphy 1. Open your Stroke palette and change the weight to 3 point. Next, we'll use our Star tool. Click and hold on the ellipse icon in the toolbar to access the flyout menu, and choose the Star tool. Click once on the artboard and enter a radius 1 of 0.6 inches, radius 2 of 0.7 inches, and 30 for the number of points, then click OK. This will give us a pretty small starburst. At the top of the artboard, change the width and height to 28 inches, or manually drag out the corner handles while holding Shift to maintain aspect ratio. Change the fill color to None, and then position directly on top of the yellow circle. In the Artistic Ink palette, click Calligraphy 1 to apply the same brush to the starburst. I don't really like the extreme disparity between the weights on the left and right of my starburst, so feel free to rotate the starburst until you like the weight distribution of the brush. Copy your starburst by pressing Command C, then paste it in front by pressing Command F. Change the stroke color to None, and in the color palette, enter RGB values of 0, 104, 56. Add the new color to the swatches palette and name it Tree Green. Press Command F to paste another copy of the starburst. We're going to fill this one with a pattern. To make the pattern, select your Type tool and click once anywhere on or off the artboard. And then type a lowercase m. In your character palette, change the size to 350 point, and then choose Snack Bar Linoleum for the font. In the color palette, change the RGB values to 43, 182, 115. To turn this into a seamless pattern, we'll need to first outline it. Go to Type, Create Outlines, or press Shift Command O. Now go to Object, Pattern, Make. In the pattern options, name your pattern Green Dots and click Done. Use your selection tool to select your top starburst, and in your swatches palette, select green dots. Drag your selection tool across the edge of the starburst to select all three. Go to Object, Arrange, Send Backward to move them behind the yellow circle. Select the top pattern starburst and give it a slight rotation to set it apart. Then repeat with the green starburst. Select the stroked starburst and bring it in front of the others by going to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front twice, or press Command right bracket twice. Select your ellipse tool again, and this time draw a circle at about 8.5 inches diameter. Select None for stroke color, and change the fill color to 43, 182, 115. Add this color to your swatch palette and name it Green or Teal. Position on the left of the artboard along the top of the yellow circle in starbursts. Press Command left bracket 3 times to send it behind everything except the background. Make a copy of the circle by holding Option while clicking on the circle and dragging to the right. Do this 3 times for a total of 4 circles. Arrange the circles so that they're gradually positioned lower on the artboard as you move to the right. Use your selection tool and hold Shift to select all 4 circles. Press Command G to group them together. Select a group of circles and hold Option while dragging up to make a copy of the group. This group will only be about 1.5 inches higher than the original group of circles. Open your Pathfinder palette and choose the first selection for Unite. Then select your Type tool, click once on the artboard and type lowercase t. Change the fill color to white, then create outlines by holding Command Shift O. Next, go to Object, Pattern, Make. Name the new pattern White Sparkles, then click Done. Back on the layout, select the top circle group, then select the White Sparkles pattern in the Swatches palette. Now open your Transparency palette and change the opacity to 30%. Then send the sparkles behind the green circles by pressing Command left bracket. Select your Type tool. In the Character palette, change your font to Avalon Script Regular at 240 point. Click once near the top of the artboard and type Sunshine. We're going to use alternate letters for the first and last letter. Open your Glyphs palette. At the top of the palette next to Show, choose Alternates for current selection. Use your Type tool to select the first S in Sunshine. In the Glyphs palette, find and double-click this decorative alternate. Now repeat the same process with the last E. Click again on the artboard with the Type tool and type Years. I want Sunshine to be very subtly more prominent, so change the font size of Years to 220 point. In the Glyphs palette, replace the Y and S with these alternates. Position Years so that the beginning of the Y rests roughly under the S in Shine. Select both words by holding Shift while clicking on each with the selection tool and center them on the artboard. Select your yellow circle and add the yellow to the swatch palette. Name it Sun Yellow. Now select Sunshine Years and select the new Sun Yellow swatch. We're going to add a layer with strokes, but we're going to want to paste this plain yellow text on top after we're done. So copy it by pressing Command C or go to Edit, Copy. Open your Appearance palette, and with both words still selected, click the Add New Stroke icon on the bottom left of the palette. Leave the stroke color black and change the weight to 10 point. Click the Add New Stroke icon again. Choose the bottom stroke in the palette and change the color to white and the weight to 22 point. Then open your stroke palette and change both the cap and corner to rounded. Now press Command F or go to Edit, Paste in Front to paste the yellow text back on top. Now select your type tool, change your font to Avalon Catchwords at 230 point. Click on the artboard and type a lowercase a. Drag the catchword above the UN in Sunshine. Go to Edit, Copy. We'll use this copy after we style the initial piece. Add a stroke color of white, and in the strokes palette, increase the weight to 4 point. Next to corner, select the middle icon for round join. This will keep us from having any sharp edges poking out. Now go to Edit, Paste in Place, or hit Command F to paste the plain black catchword on top. Then go to Object, Create Outlines. Select your group selection arrow and select the innermost path on the banner section of the catchword. Copy it, then delete it. Next, select the outermost path and delete that. Paste your copy on top by pressing Command F. Open your swatches palette and change the fill color to Sun Yellow and the stroke color to None, then press Command left bracket to move it just behind the black only banner. Select the, change the color to teal, then hold Shift and drag one of the corner handles in to reduce the size of the letters a tiny bit. We'll finish off our title with a few hand-drawn ornaments. Select your type tool and change the font to Hello Lucky Ornaments. Click once on the artboard and type a lowercase u. Change the font size to 78 point, and then change the color to Sun Yellow. Position the heart ornament over the dip in the swash on the capital S in Sunshine. Click again on the artboard and type a lowercase s. Change the size to 130 point, then the color to Sun Yellow. Position this ornament to the left of the catchword. Use your selection tool to rotate the ornament to the right about 18 degrees so it flows naturally from the edge of the banner. Click on the artboard again and type a lowercase t. Change the color to Sun Yellow and the font size to 108 point. Position this ornament to the top right of the last S in Years. Rotate this one about 30 degrees to the left. Let's give this a more cohesive feel by adding a couple of lines that hold the words together. Grab your pen tool and click once to add a point just to the right of the catchword banner. Then hold Shift and click again above the curly swash at the end of the E in Sunshine. Holding Shift while drawing your path ensures that you draw a straight line. Change the fill to None and the stroke to black. Open your strokes palette and increase the weight to 5 point. Next to Profile, choose Width Profile 4. Now let's add a little cap to the blunt end of the line. This can be done using the arrowheads in the stroke palette, but I just grabbed the ellipse tool and held Shift while dragging out a circle. And zoom in and center it on the end of the line. Now we'll repeat for a second line to the left of years. With your pen tool, click once just to the left of the Y in years, hold Shift, and click again below the first S in sunshine. Change your fill color to none and your stroke color to black. Open your strokes palette and increase the weight to 5 point. Next to Profile, choose Width Profile 4. Copy the first black circle by selecting it with the selection tool and holding Option while dragging down. Position at the blunt end of the second line. Now we'll add a little tagline. Select your type tool and type a capital M. Position it below the EAR in years and change the size to 238 point. Now we'll make a path for our tagline. Select your pen tool and click once on the inside left of the banner. Click again in the middle of the banner, but this time hold and drag to the right to create a curved point. Finally, click one last time at the inside right of the banner. Click and hold on the Type tool in the toolbar. On the flyout menu, choose the Type on a Path tool. Click once on the path and type Get Happy. Don't worry if you can't see it yet. Choose your direct selection tool. In your character palette, change the font to Local Brewery 4 at 42 point. With your direct selection tool, click on the vertical line at the left of your text and drag it to the far left of the path. Do this again on the right, but move it to the right side of the banner. At the top of the artboard, select Paragraph Align Center. Let's also reduce the tracking, the space between letters, to -20. To finish the banner, we'll give it a background color. Select your pen tool, and we'll roughly draw around the perimeter of the banner. Click once for hard corners, and click Drag for curved points. After drawing around the edge, click once on the beginning point to close the path. Use your eyedropper tool to sample the small circles we made earlier. Then press Command left bracket twice to send the shape behind the banner outline. Now we get to let people know who's featured in our movie. We'll be positioning the names at the top of the poster. Grab your type tool and change your font to The Hand at 72 point. Click once in the top left of the artboard and type Tom Ross. Then change the fill color to Tree Green. In your Paragraphs palette, choose Align Left. Grab your selection tool. Copy Tom's name by holding Option-Shift and dragging to the far right of the artboard. In your Paragraph palette, select Align Right, then select the copy with the Type tool and replace with Darren's name. Copy Darren's name and drag it to the middle of the artboard. In the Paragraph palette, select Align Center, then select the Type and change it to Matt's name. Visually center it between the two other names. Now we'll add a few subtle ink splatters. Select your Type tool and change the font to Sabotaged Extras at 200 point. Click on the artboard and type a lowercase r. Change the color to sun yellow and position so that it overlaps the trees on the left side of the yellow circle. In the same font, you can also type lowercase v and s for ink splatters, or see the freebie files for outline versions. Place a few ink splatters here and there along the bottom half of the artboard, but be careful not to overdo it. When creating the black splatters, make sure to open your transparency palette and reduce the opacity to about 80%. The ink brush strokes we've used in black include a degree of transparency, and the splatters will look too dark if we use them at 100%. I'm going to go ahead and save my file now. And then we'll start prepping our images. Start by downloading this fantastic image from Unsplash. See below for the download link. Open the image in Photoshop. Press Z to select your zoom tool and click and drag to the right on the image to zoom into the people. We're going to rough cut them out. We'll start with the girl on the left. Select your polygonal lasso tool. You'll find it by clicking and holding on the lasso tool in the toolbar until you see the flyout menu. We'll click around the edges of the girl. Try to keep the space between points fairly small so we don't see any super long edges, but don't worry about being perfectly consistent. We want this to look rough. Continue your way around until you've returned to your starting point. Then click the starting point to complete the selection. Now press Command J to duplicate the selected area onto its own layer. Select the background layer again and we'll repeat the cutting out process for the boy. Use your polygonal lasso tool to outline him. Then we'll press Command J to duplicate the selection onto a new layer. Now we can turn off visibility to the background layer. It's also a good time to name the layers we just created so we know which is which. With the layer of the girl selected, go to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. Now go to Image Adjustments, Levels. The clothing is a little dark in black and white, so we want to lighten it. Click on the white point slider on the far right of the histogram, then drag it to the left until the clothing is lightened. Hold Command and click once on the thumbnail of the layer to create a selection around the girl. Go to Select, Modify, Contract. There'll be a little trial and error for this part because it depends on how you drew your initial selection. I'm starting with 20 pixels, but that's not quite right. So I'll hit Command Z to undo and go back to Select, Modify, Contract and type in 12 pixels. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect, just an approximation of the outline of the girl. Next, go to Select Inverse. Now go to Image, Adjustment, Levels. This time, select the middle slider and drag it to the left until the outer edges of the image are washed out. Deselect by pressing Command D. Now we'll add a halftone effect. First press D to set your foreground color to black and background to white, then go to Filter, Filter Gallery. Under Sketch, choose Halftone Pattern. Keep the size at 1 and change contrast to 0. Pattern type should be set to dot. Press OK to apply the filter. We'll put this layer in its own file. Go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. Next to Document, choose New, then click OK. This will pop open a new document at the same size as the original. go to Image Canvas Size and enter a width and height of 16 inches, then click OK. Use your Move tool to move the image of the girl to the middle of the new smaller canvas, then save your document as a PSD file and close it. Now we'll repeat the same steps for the boys layer. With the boy layer selected, go to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate, then Image Adjustments, Levels, and lighten the image slightly. Hold Command and click on the thumbnail to create a selection around the boy. Go to Select Modify Contract, enter the same pixel amount that you used on the girl, then go to Select Inverse. Go to Image Adjustment Levels, select the middle slider, drag it to the left until the outer edges on the image are washed out. This time we can just duplicate our last filter effect by pressing Command F. Go to Layer, Duplicate Layer, change the canvas size, and save the file. Next, we'll place these guys into our Illustrator file so we know where to put our railroad tracks. Go back into Illustrator and go to File, Place Linked. Navigate to the Photoshop file of the girl and click Place. Then click once on the artboard. With your selection tool, hold Shift and drag the corner handles in to reduce the size of the girl to about 8.7 inches, so we're not overpowering the title. Now go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the PSD file of the boy. Click Place, and then click once on the artboard. Position him to the right of the girl, similar to the original photo but a bit closer, and reduce his size the same as the girl, to about 8.7 inches. Position them toward the top of the circle, centered horizontally. Then use your selection tool while holding Shift to select both images, and press Command 2 to lock them. Now that we have a frame of reference, we can draw our railroad tracks. Select the Pen tool. Using the tracks under the feet of the people as a guide, start by clicking once at the top of the circle, then below the bottom of the artboard. Don't worry about being too exact, we'll have to make adjustments after we add our brush stroke. Follow that with a point at the bottom right, then another at the top of the circle. Change the stroke color to 246, 137, 31. In your Artistic Ink Brushes palette, choose Dry Ink 1. Then open your stroke palette and increase the weight to 2 point. With this brush applied, the stroke won't be lined up with the photos. Use your Direct Select tool to individually select any of the 4 points used to make the line, and use your arrow keys to move the points until the visible brush part of the path lines up with the tracks below the people's feet. Now to make these look like railroad tracks, we'll need to add some wood planks. Select your rectangle tool and click and drag across the orange path at the top of the circle. Change the stroke color to none and the fill color to 255, 242, 0. Now we'll continue drawing wood planks with our rectangle tool. As we move further down the artboard, make each plank a little larger and slightly further apart to give a sense of perspective. I'm intentionally doing this visually so it's slightly irregular and supports our carefree, hand-drawn look. To further enforce the perspective, we need to adjust the angles of the left and right sides of our bright yellow rectangles. Select your Direct Selection tool, select the top left point of the top rectangle, and use your arrow key to move it to the right so the angle of the left side of the rectangle matches the angle of the orange path. Do this for all of the wood planks, and then repeat on the right side. Our last step for the wood planks is to select all of them by holding Shift while clicking on each. Then go to Object, Group. Send them behind the orange path by pressing Command left bracket twice. Now I think I'll just add a few more ink splatters. This wouldn't be a movie poster without credits and a release date. Start by opening your Layers palette and clicking the Create a New Layer icon. We want to separate this part since we'll be adding textures to everything else later. Select your Type tool and change the font to Director's Gothic 210 Regular at 60 point. Click once on the artboard and type Design Cuts Films presents an Art Ninja production in association with Griffin Doors. Open your character palette and in the flyout menu choose All Caps. We want our names to stand out, so we'll select the descriptors and reduce their weight and size. Use your Type tool to select Presents Anne. Change the font to Director's Gothic 210 Thin and the size to 50 point. Make the same change to Production in Association with. You can select it and then just use the eyedropper to select Presents Anne. Duplicate this line of copy by selecting it and holding Shift plus Option while dragging down. With your Type tool, select all of the copy and change it to our list of stars. Note that I've added double spaces between the names to add a little extra separation. Use your Type tool to select Starring, then use your eyedropper tool and sample Presents Anne in the line above to copy the style. Now we'll do this one more time for the last line. Select the second line, hold Shift and Option and drag down to duplicate. Use your Type tool to select the text and replace it with Writing, Producing, and Directing credits. Just as before, we'll have our names larger and bolder. Grab your selection tool and use the corner handles to reduce the size of this line until it's the same width as the other two lines. Now adjust the lines by selecting them with the selection tool and using your arrow keys so they're about the same vertical distance from each other. Our last bit of copy before we move on to texturing is the release date. Select your type tool, click on the bottom middle of the artboard and type March 21st and select Theaters. Change your font to Globa at 28 point. In your Align palette, choose Horizontal Align Center to center it on the artboard. I was able to position it right in the middle of my last yellow plank of the railroad. Now go to Object, Unlock All. This should automatically select the two photos we placed earlier. Press backspace to delete them. We'll add them back in when we move to Photoshop. With your selection tool, drag across the top half of the poster to select the three names at the top, the title, and its accompanying elements and tagline. Open your Layers palette and move the selected objects up to the second layer. Click and hold on the brightly colored dot to the right of the layer name, then drag it up to the same spot on the layer above it. The green circles seem a little overpowering, so select them with your selection tool, and in the Transparency palette, change the blend mode to multiply and opacity to 40%. Now we'll need to hide some of our sparkles. With the green circles selected, press Command C to copy, then Command F to paste in front. For the duplicates, change the blend mode back to normal and the opacity to 100%. Open your Pathfinder palette and choose the first icon, Unite. Hold Shift and click to add the sparkly circles to the selection. In the Pathfinder palette, click the second icon, Subtract. Select your teal background and press Command 3 to hide it. Now go to File, Save As, and save as a separate file with the word background in the name. Leave this file open for now. We'll copy our other elements from it in a moment. Open Photoshop and go to File, New. Enter a width of 18 inches, a height of 24 inches, and a resolution of 300 ppi. Go to Layer, New Fill Layer, Solid Color. Name it Teal Background. Then in the color picker, enter RGB values of 0, 167, 157. Then press OK. Now open your Styles palette. Click on the menu icon at the top right of the palette and choose Load Styles. Navigate to Boutique Styles in the bonus folder for Make Media Company's Boutique Script font. Select it and press Load. Choose the style named Lazy Sunday. Hovering over the thumbnails will give you their names. This will add a pattern overlay effect to your teal layer. In your Layers palette, double-click the pattern overlay. In the pop-up box, change the scale to 380%. Change blend mode to luminosity and opacity to 30%. Then press OK. Now go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the background file we made in Illustrator, and press Place. In the dialog box, select Trim Box in the drop-down menu next to Crop To, then press OK. Our image will automatically be placed in the right position. Press Enter to complete the placement. In the Styles palette, choose the style named Burn. In the Layers palette, double-click Pattern Overlay. Select a blend mode of Color Dodge and change the scale to 325%, then press OK. Now go back into Illustrator. In your Layers palette, lock Layer 1 and turn on Layer 2. Click on Layer 2 to select it, then press Command A to select all. Press Command C to copy. Go back into Photoshop and press Command B to paste. Again, Photoshop will be kind enough to paste everything in at the right size and in the correct position. Now all we need to do is add our people back in. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the PSD of the girl, then press Place. At the top of the artboard, change the width and height to 8.7, or use the corner handles while holding Shift to decrease to 8.7 inches. Use the orange railroad as a guide for placing her in the correct position. Now we'll repeat for the boy. Go to File, Place Linked, and navigate to the PSD of the boy and press Place. Decrease his size to 8.7 inches square and use the orange rail as a guide to place him in the correct position. And we're done! This was a long one. Mad props for sticking through to the end. We have a light-hearted, quirky poster for a movie I'd kinda like to see. Whether it's your outcome for this tutorial or something new, head over to our Facebook page and share it with us. Let us know what you think in the comments below and give us a thumbs up if you liked the tutorial. We love your feedback. Subscribe to our new YouTube channel at youtube.com/designcuts to get more video tutorials and regular updates, or visit us at designcuts.com. Thanks for watching. Till next time.